What's
Hi,
up?
Haylee.
Are you
Welcome
at
back.
Yellowstone? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm at Yellowstone. I'm about to be at Yellowstone. I'm about like 45 minutes outside of Yellowstone,
Oh
but
my
I'm in a gas station parking lot, and just so you can see, this is what the
gosh.
truck
Oh,
camper looks like.
oh, that's so funny.
That's my actual background. I thought that this might be a little nicer. So
Yeah,
I'm going
I
with,
like it.
yeah.
Well, I thought you were home already. So do you want to tell everybody what you've been up to? You've been on the road for a long time now.
Oh my God, yes. I have been on the road for a while. So I had a little bit of well, a lot bit of time off of my part-time gig at americanpurpose.com, where I'm the podcast editor and producer and web manager, and we had the month of August off. So I decided, along with one of my friends, to take a road trip, a cross-country road trip, to see some national parks and to see some bottle shops and people in the NA ecosystem across the country. And gosh, I don't even know. I promised my mom I would keep a travel journal, but I didn't. And so my photos are my travel journal. And one of the highlights, obviously, was seeing you in Denver, which was so awesome.
That was so fun. I'm so happy to have met you in person.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And so, yeah, I've been up to a lot of different things. And before we get into our episode today where we're talking about SAYSO, we've got some special guests coming. Just giving everyone who's tuning in a little update on some of my adventures. So, like I said before, been to a few national parks, but in terms of how it sort of relates to our show and brands and things, I went to Generation NA in
Mm.
Indiana, Lawrence AF, also in Indiana, same day. Went to Boisson in Studio City, where I actually picked up. Oh no, I got to go off of my. All right, we're just gonna get so real right now, and this is what my background looks like. But this is where I picked up my SAYSO because I forgot to bring my. I thought I'd be home by now. It's what it is. You got your variety pack. I love it.
Totally.
And then I went to the new bar in Venice. I'm wearing a Venice Beach t-shirt. And I spoke at a conference for sommeliers, and I won a Leader and Innovator of the Year award, which I wasn't
So
able to pick up in person because I got the Rona. So I'm recovering from COVID right now. I'm pretty much back to normal.
good. It can take a while. Yeah, you've been up
Yeah.
to a lot. You're doing so much. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying. This is let the abundance reign. I'm ready for some money now.
Right.
Loving all of the fun adventures, but I am ready to make some coin. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, just really excited to be back and doing this. I want to hear a little bit about what you've been up to before we dive in with some special guests that we'll bring on.
Yeah, we've just been up to regular work, not on the road. So we've been doing a lot of super cold work. We're shooting tomorrow all day, which will be a really fun shoot for the Lussie brand we've been working on. So that's kind of what we're up to. Other than that, not much. I'm trying
Yeah.
to go do a Via Ferrata, like a rock climbing route on Friday and Saturday. So that's my next adventure. But
Okay.
super excited to talk about SAYSO. We've been waiting. We've had this product for a bit. I know you had to pick some up, but we had ours for a bit and we've been thinking on it for a while now. So I haven't even opened mine.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna try it live. I was just messing around with my little
Yes.
StreamYard project. You're gonna try it live. I just have to say I had to figure some stuff out because I first put it in my water bottle and just kind of kept it in there for a while. Oops. And then it all dissolved after I had it for a half hour, and I was drinking like cardamom pods and
Oh,
and like crystallized lime and crystallized grapefruit, and I'm like, it's all in my teeth. I had to like floss with it. So I started fresh with a glass that's not so fancy, but it's a glass. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, so you have the variety pack and you have a nice, I love your glassware.
yeah.
What flavor are you going to try today?
So I'm definitely since I have a lime here, I'm going to do the skinny spicy margarita. I'm a big fan of spicy in my cocktails or my NA cocktails. I think before I open this up, I'm going to quickly talk about brand as we do. So I think the best thing about SAYSO is that it's very sophisticated and clean. There's not a lot going on. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that it's very clean and straightforward. And I haven't opened this up yet, but let's do it together. I have the variety pack, which I highly recommend because there's a lot in here. It's women owned, real ingredients, low sugar, I believe, low or no sugar. No hot water required.
Right. And you could probably see it on your pack too. But I love, and this kind of goes into our you know, our community talk and our taste talk, but I love how there are mindful drinker applicabilities.
Absolutely.
And non-drinker applicability. So tequila recommended. Let's swap spirits with water for a mocktail. FYI, I would swap with an NA tequila just for me, but I do have water today.
Yeah, I love how it invites you into that to drink or not to drink, sort of the mocktail or the cocktail. I want to just mention the color palette. I think the color palette's really beautiful. It's hard to see, but it all goes together really well. The spicy margarita is a bit more bright than the old fashioned, the Paloma and the Moscow Mule. But I can't figure out where the camera is. I keep going off.
Yeah, I see it. No, I see it. It looks, is it just me or is it the lighting? But I'm trying to figure out if yours is glossy and mine is matte. I can't figure that out. It looks a little glossy.
Well, it's like a medium gloss. There's a tiny bit of gloss, but it's mostly matte, I would say.
Okay.
So you can see what I mean by the typography being very sophisticated, clean, down to earth, but also sophisticated. I was going to say elevated, but I always say that. So I opened the wrong one. That's not the one I want to try. Skinny margarita. Here we go.
Okay. Skinny margarita. Got it.
I also want to note the S of the word mark, you know, coming through in the tea bag tag. I think that's a very nice touch. So the way I'm going to do this is the directions are to steep in cold water for 3 minutes, I believe. Oh, I can smell the spice. Have you tried this one yet?
Yeah, I have. That was the very first one I tried. Yeah. I have to say, though, I am loving this. I love anything with cardamom. So you'll enjoy that one, too, if you're into that. So just go ahead. I'm just going to say, be careful not to leave it in for half an hour.
Okay, I won't do that. And I also won't spill it all over my computer or my office as I did with Starlo last time, which was a hilarious episode. If you haven't seen it. Quick note on branding. I know we usually chat branding, then we go into taste. Storytelling is the most important thing. So when I'm looking at these NA brands, I'm talking about what is the brand identity like? And then 2, what is the story that we're telling? So think of when I'm working with my clients at Super Cool, I try to think of and push them to think of what are we selling that isn't the product, right? So when you think of Disney, that's magic. Apple is like forward thinking. Red Bull, excitement. So what is SAYSO selling besides the product? And I don't think it's 100% obvious right now in their branding, but I would assume it's sort of this adventure forward brand, kind of this idea of their tagline is steep every moment to its fullest. I believe that's the tagline on the website. Unless, is that what you're seeing too? So I think that, I think that there's a really great story there. I would just love to see some of the photography lean more into that storytelling. You know, like what are we selling besides SAYSO? And I think they are doing it. I just want to see more, you know?
More of it. Okay. I do like maybe it's what you might consider basic because I don't have quite the like visual palette as you, but on the about page, I love how there's like the cheers with the tea bag too. So it kind of brings it in together how these are the cocktails that are made with the SAYSO tea bag. But what kind of elements would you like more to see in terms of I think, telling that story more?
Yeah, I think their website's amazing. I think everything looked really nice. What I would focus on is telling that story through photo on social. Right now, I think they have, I went to their TikTok too, but they do have a lot of user-generated content, which is good. That's great. But I would love to see like, how are we setting up photos a bit more to show adventure? I know there was a post about an old fashioned by a campfire. Like, I would love to see that illustrated a bit more visually. But overall, I don't think anything is off or too basic or anything like that. I think they're doing a great job. I just want to push the story a bit and think about, you know, what are we selling besides this great product, which I'm excited to try. Also, just beautiful in general, like tea bags or, you know, this sort of cold steeping bag is beautiful in general in their photography. So I think highlighting more of that would be awesome.
Which kind of brings us to the point where it's really a mindful experience. You know, some people might just want something immediately. I mean, many of us are Americans and we want everything now and big and huge and all the time. But the tea bag like allows you to just like be more mindful, more intentional about what you're about to consume. And it also like wowed me in the beginning. I was like, wow, you can have a cold steep. I guess I only thought of tea bags with like hot tea. I think you can, I don't know if I made this up, but can you drink this hot as well? I don't want to because I like cold beverages. But we'll find out. We'll find out soon.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen. Mine's been steeping, so I'm just gonna pour it into my second glass with ice as directed.
This is the way to do it, folks. Do it like Haylee is doing it. Or you could have SAYSO in a camping cup, and that's totally fine too. I love the aromas. Oh my gosh, the aromas are so good.
Especially when you open the bag. I really got that spice, which I'm trying to see what it is. There's ginger juice powder in this one. Maybe that's, jalapeno, ginger. That's probably where the spice is coming from.
Oh, look. Hi, Juliana. Yeah, please feel free to like add those comments in on LinkedIn and we will pop them up. Yes. So you're getting the spice. You're getting the lime.
Yes. And I wonder if
are you getting a touch of sweetness with yours? Because I think I got the skinny, which has less sugar. And I would. Is it yours is skinny as well? Okay.
Yeah, but there is a sweetness to it, a light sweetness. Okay. It's 20 calories, so not a ton.
Yours is 20. Okay, I think mine. Okay, mine's 15, so it's about the same. I wonder though, just from a taste perspective, if there might be more of like a sweetness balance if I mixed it with like Danny Trejos's new tequila, Trejos Spirits, which is really good, by the way. And there's also Little Saints. They have a new mezcal. So I want to try the Skinny Marg, but also the Skinny Paloma with an NA tequila. I think that would be really good. And I'm curious to hear when we bring on, by the way, we're going to be bringing on Charlotte and Chloe very soon to talk about SAYSO. But I think it works really well with water too. And I would also try it with seltzer. Maybe I could try that, or tonic water.
Just a note, I don't want to forget this. Chloe said to rustle the bags to get all the flavor out. I did not do that, but I know that is on the directions. Okay. So that's one thing I did miss. But
I think I messed something up when these kind of baked in the sun for a while. Oops, sorry, Chloe. And so they've hardened a little bit. I don't know if it's supposed. How does yours feel, Haylee? Like in the bag? Is it like packed? Does it feel packed?
I mean, yeah, with all the like herbs and the spices, but it's not like hard. I wouldn't imagine yours is much different than mine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it got exposed to some elements, so not my bad.
So do you have any tips for us before we invite them on of tasting? Just the smell, like how are you tasting yours specifically?
Well, I touched a little bit on like how I might incorporate it, how I might use it with possibly some other mixers and see if that would work with seltzer, with tonic, and also with some NA tequilas or mezcals. But on its own, like it's a really nice is such a like word, but like it really zhuzhes up water. So it's lovely to have. You're having fresh ingredients. I love aroma so much. So obviously, like we taste with our nose and with our mouth, and we talked about retronasal tasting in one of our past episodes when we got super geeky, but you got your, so in terms of taste, I think it would be more concentrated for me if I had actually done the proper 3 ounces of water or 4 ounces of water and 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces of a spirit.
Right.
It's maybe a little more diluted for me because I have more water, but I think it's lovely. Mine's very tart. I'm getting more cardamom on the nose than I am, you know, in taste, but I think that's kind of what cardamom is for me. I'm not sure if cardamom is like more of an aroma than a taste.
I will say this feels like, I think the word I was using is sophisticated. I think we're even getting the taste there because, you know, when you go to a bar when you used to drink, or maybe you're getting an NA cocktail at a bar and it's so incredibly sweet that it ruins everything. I think these, so the skinny spicy margarita isn't too sweet. And when a cocktail is high quality and sophisticated, it's not, in my opinion, as a civilian, it's not going to be overly sweet. It's going to be like balanced. There's going to be other flavors in there. And I think that SAYSO definitely has that down for this spicy margarita specifically that I've tried.
As a civilian, I love that. I know it would be even better if it was on the rocks, because I love ice and I just, you know, I have what I have. The thing is, it works. You know, it works with the most basic of setups like I have, or a slightly more fancier, more elevated setup like you have. And then one of the things that I really, really love, and I can't wait to hear from Chloe and Charlotte more, we will stop jabbing or gabbing soon and bring them on, but I love how this can be used as a foolproof, low proof, or no proof cocktail, or just a fancy way to drink water. There's so many different kinds of applicabilities. You could bring it for literally any friend, any host. It works every kind of way. And so I think it's just a really nice way of including everybody in the conversation.
I totally agree with that. And by the way, everyone who's watching, try to grab the variety pack. It's 17 online. It comes with 8. And I think that's a great taste tester. I mean, you could even bring this to a party and people can add whiskey to their old fashioned or not. I think this is definitely a good one to try for that.
Yeah. And we'll see if we can get a promo code for our listeners today, and see if you can use that NA Dossier promo. But yeah, grab that variety pack, y'all. So what do you think, Haylee? Should we bring our guests on? Do we need to give a little bit of an introduction?
I would love for them to introduce themselves, what they do. I know Charlotte has a lot of cool things to share, as well as Chloe. So I think we should just bring them in if they're ready.
Are you ready, ladies? Okay. All right. Well, we're adding them to the stage.
Hi.
Welcome,
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining.
I logo's covering my face now, but I'm good with it. Do you want to introduce yourself, Chloe, to everybody?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Chloe. I'm one of the co-founders of SAYSO. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you all.
Yeah. And then Charlotte, do you want to introduce yourself as well? And maybe what you, since we know Chloe's the co-founder, kind of how you come into play here in this conversation.
Sure. Hi, I'm Charlotte, co-founder of Haylee and Labs. So I am relevant in the sense that I helped formulate SAYSO. So getting all the ingredients and sourcing and intricacies of that into bag.
Sweet.
That's a really unique thing to have, you know, to have one of the flavor formulators of a brand and then a co-founder of the brand on the show at the same time to sort of give their own perspectives and then their shared perspective on how it all began. So how did it all begin?
Yeah, so my co-founder Allison and I were in business school when we came up with the idea. We just felt like there wasn't an easy way to make a really good drink at home. You know, all the best drinks use real ingredients. It's just the way it is. And so we wanted to incorporate that. We started infusing alcohol basically in mason jars with all natural dehydrated ingredients. We were just kind of playing around with it at first. we brought it through a class in business school where we did a number of customer focus groups. And the major piece of feedback that we received from that version of the idea is just that people don't want to wait 24 hours for a drink, which, you know, seems obvious now, but, and you touched a little bit on that, I think, Haylee, before, about how, you know, it's a tea bag, it's not instant. So we still have maintained that it's, you know, it's easy, but not instant. But we have sped up that process quite significantly. And the way that we did that is that we introduced granulated ingredients as well as powdered ingredients into the tea bag. So those ingredients will more or less dissolve, or they're supposed to dissolve. And the other pieces of whole ingredients, which we maintained from the, you know, the version 1.0 of the idea, will add nuance over time. So Laura, when everything kind of just like melted into your drink after 30 minutes and you had those pieces of ingredients, those will continue to add flavor. And like, you probably noticed that like there was a lot of flavor at that point. And so, for example, if they're margarita, they're real pieces of jalapeno. So the longer you leave in the bag, the spicier it'll get. And so that's an easy way to kind of customize your drink with the product as well.
That's awesome. I love that it's not instant. I mean, I know from your interviews, it seemed like people wanted the process sped up, but the fact that it's not instant and it does take 3 minutes gives that more sophisticated feel. And just even like doing this with a tea bag, it does something to your mental state. It's very strange. I didn't realize it until I was doing this with a not tea bag, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like ritualistic in a way. And so we like that about it. We also like that with our product, you know, the first sip will not necessarily taste like the last. Whereas if you're drinking a ready to drink canned cocktail, you know, like every sip will be very consistent. So we liked that there was an element of customization with that, you know, leave the bag in, take it out early, you know, wait until everything dissolves, or, you know, add a little bit of alcohol, add a lot, don't add any. There's, you know, there's a lot that you can do with it.
And what I love about this too, Chloe, is that, and you kind of touched upon maybe one of your first ideas that you were running through, but the thing that or the brand that I kind of think of as something that's similar, but you have a differentiator, is like the Camp Craft Cocktails mason jars. I haven't even tried any of those, but I don't want to, I don't understand how it works. You have to like put in a certain amount, dilute it over like the course of 24 to 48 hours. And then you have to, like, if you're using a spirit or a non-alcoholic, it's very complicated. By the way, still want to try it. But what I love about SAYSO is that the differentiator is that it's individual. And sorry, there's like a semi driving right next to me. So you can see, but it's individualized. So like you can just have one tonight, or you and a friend can each have a different one if you get the variety pack. So there's a way to have just one at a time rather than making a whole big batch for, you know, then you're sort of forced to drink a whole batch over a course of time.
Right. And it allows you to just be more inclusive with whoever you're with. So, you know, nowadays, most of the time you'll have a mix of drinkers and non-drinkers within a group of people. So it just allows you to use the same, you know, product for everyone.
Totally.
Charlotte, I'm curious, as I call myself a civilian, not a sommelier or anything like that. When I was speaking about tasting, like, do you have more to add to that? Do you have corrections for me as I was talking about the spicy margarita? I'd love to learn more about, are you drinking one right now, Charlotte?
Oh, yeah. I'm drinking two.
Oh, great.
Tell us about
that. Tell us everything.
Please feel free to correct me too if I was. Yeah.
I'm never going to correct anyone's taste unless it's like there's marshmallows in this, but whatever you're tasting is still going to be really subjective to, you know, the individual things you've had before. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, certain things that you may pick up on because you're partial to them. So I definitely think that you're accurate. You know, the spice is such a prevalent aspect right now and talked about a lot in flavor profile in the NA space in general. You know, Laura talking about the NA tequila, which I actually made my skinny Paloma with the Bear Zero Proof. So there may be some alterations there to tasting it as is on water, but spice is used a lot to kind of like emulate the burn in a lot of like NA spirits. So building on that is something that you're going to see a lot. And like Chloe, like you were saying, the customizability of it, I think, is really fun for people. I know that I tend to be a person who will like leave my tea bag in because I like really potent flavors. For example, I don't like spice as much, but I'm really big on herbals. So I left my skinny Paloma in. I took the bag out, but for my rosemary, honey, Moscow Mule, I left the bag in. So
I love that. So even you're the one who formulated things, like even you have different ways of making some of these.
yeah. From a formulation perspective, it's always really interesting. We do a lot of like live tastings with the brands when we get close. Loved having Chloe in for those of just downing 40 options of SAYSO. And you know, there will be even things that, because we're so different as individuals, you know, I think at a point, Chloe was like, dial back the rosemary, because I love rosemary so much. I kept putting like more in than probably anyone else would have wanted. So a lot of it does come down to the individuality of it, which is so fun with these bags. Also, like you were saying, bringing things to a party. I know when I'm like, and Laura, I'm sure you know as well, lugging around like 40 bottles of samples for a party or an event or whatever, or even just like a work thing is so tough. So the option to bring something that's like small and lightweight, but you're still getting a lot of like material is a fantastic option.
That's a really good point. It's a much more lightweight party solution. You know what I was just thinking, and maybe this is like total blasphemy. Chloe and Charlotte, please tell me if I've like committed a crime by saying this, but what if I steeped a SAYSO in an NA wine? Like, what might happen?
So I don't think that that's crazy.
Done?
I think that you should like absolutely like the point of this is like pick your own adventure, right? Like do whatever you want with it. So I love that you're trying to be creative with it. What I will say is that we're looking at potentially, you know, creating a sangria type product as well, which will pair better, I think, with wine than our existing products would. But there is no limit to what you can do with them. We do try to like have in mind what the customer will most likely do with the product when we formulate them. So I actually personally haven't tried it with wine, but I would probably wait until
or beer.
Beer could be interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's so much beer now that has all these super interesting and fun flavors. One of my favorites is this like Dogfish Head beer that has like lime and salt in it. So the margarita could be potentially interesting. Yeah, I mean, I encourage all kinds of experimentation.
Chloe, I'm curious what your favorite flavor is out of all of them, or maybe you have multiples that you love, but what are you thinking on that?
So I feel like this is kind of a boring answer, but I love the skinny spicy margarita. That was kind of my drink of choice, like before even co-founding this company. Just because I love margaritas, I love spice. I'll definitely leave the bag in. Like I will leave it in, even if I'm drinking the drink for like a period of 30 minutes, I'll still leave it in. But my second, and actually what I'll say with that is I love it with gin. I'm not a big tequila person, so I'll have it with gin. My second favorite is the Paloma. I love the Paloma as a non-alcoholic drink with muddled strawberry in it. We did this like fun email over Valentine's Day last year suggesting to do that. And I happened to be pregnant at the time. So I did it as an NA drink, and it was just so good that I've made it so many times since. So those are my top two, but I really do love them all.
Mm-hmm. So I was commenting on like this, what is the brand selling other than the product? Do you agree that maybe it is adventure you guys are selling? I know it's a lot about possibility, being on the go, easy, like being in different places. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love that you picked up on that. I think the adventure is a big part of it. When we were thinking on the branding piece. A big word that kept coming up was transported. So the feeling of being transported somewhere. So whether that's through taste or feeling or just, you know, we feel like each of our drinks are so unique and can, you know, give you a feeling of, you know, being on a beach or being like by a cozy campfire with our old fashioned. So that was one of the things we really honed in on. So I think adventure is really similar to that. And it's spontaneity. So just like, you know, infuse any moment wherever you are type of
yes
thing.
I love that. That makes complete sense. I call myself a mindful drinker. So this weekend I'm off to a campfire and I'm going to bring these, and I'll probably bring, especially for the old fashioned, and share it. So I'll report back on LinkedIn on how I feel it's different with actual, you know, like whiskey versus just sweet skinny with water. But I love that idea. I mean, the transported is so much better than adventure. I think that fits so much more.
Yeah, well, to be clear, I didn't come up with that. We used a branding agency that has all of these like amazing words in the vocabulary that you know helped us come up with that, and we thought that it was so fitting. What I'll say about the old fashioned is that is the only one that I wouldn't recommend just leaving in for an indefinite period of time. The old fashioned will continue to get more bitter, so and it will reach a point where it is like so incredibly bitter that you probably won't want to drink it. The reason for that is we use pieces of gentian root and cinchona bark as the bitters, and there are real pieces of that in the bag. So again, totally customizable, but it will get quite bitter if you don't take it out at some point.
Okay.
Sounds like I'd love that. I love bitter so much. So much. Yeah, so how would it, maybe the key is, and I did this wrong and Haylee did it right, is steeping it in one glass and then pouring it, sort of straining it into another glass, because I didn't have a strainer, and I love steeping things for longer. I steep tea bags. Maybe I leave a tea bag in almost the whole time I drink my cup of tea. So I just want more flavor. I want more aroma, but I also don't want to be drinking like cardamom pods too. So I'll have to figure out a different way to enjoy this while still on the road.
So the bag shouldn't break. So if that happened, it was probably, you know, a defect, or, you know, something happened where it was like shaked or something. But the bag really should contain the ingredients, even if you leave it in for a while.
It might be because, like I said, this particular box has withstood over 100-degree temperatures in Vegas, and then, you know, and then it's like been cold at night in other places, so it's probably like melted and then frozen. I don't know, but I might have also shaken the bottle, so that's on me. But I like that you can do it in just about any kind of way, and it's certainly a fabulous party solution. I have a question about potential. You said there was a sangria that was coming, possibly a sangria that's coming next. What other kinds of flavor experiences can people expect from SAYSO?
Yeah, so there's so much that we want to do. We do have a few flavors that are already formulated, so we're excited to soon launch a hot toddy that's coming out in October. So that'll be a seasonal flavor, which will be really fun. And that one we, you know, of course, would recommend using hot water with. So that's kind of an exception to how we typically make our cocktails and mocktails. So that's coming out soon. We have a hibiscus Cosmo that will be coming out soon as well. A shiso mojito at some point, probably in 2024. And we're also working on an espresso martini. That's just like happens to be like the drink. I can see your reaction, Laura. Like everyone loves an espresso martini. So we think that will be a really fun one.
So excited for all of it.
Yeah.
You like that one, Laura?
Also the Cosmo. Yeah.
The Cosmo was delicious. I almost forgot about it.
Yeah. Charlotte helped us with the Cosmo as well. The Cosmo is probably my personal favorite also. It's a beautiful color. It's hibiscus Cosmo. So there's like real natural, like bright pink from the hibiscus powder. So that one will be really fun.
That's
sweet.
Amazing.
How long has SAYSO been around? I missed that.
So we started it back in 2020. We only officially launched it in June of 2022. The reason for that is we had so many production issues, like manufacturing issues. It's kind of a blessing and a curse when you introduce a new product or product category. It's very differentiated. We're the only ones doing it right now, but there also wasn't an existing process for making it. We encountered pretty much every challenge you can think of. Like putting sugar in a tea bag is not something that you traditionally do. So we had to process our ingredients in a certain way. We had to source different types of ingredients that would work with our machines. So anyway, just long story short, it took a while, a lot of trial and error. So we officially launched with a commercially made product in June of 2022. So it's been just over a year.
Cool.
Wow. You've done a lot. I'm curious to know if it's about 50-50 in terms of the demographics of who's picking up the product. Are people buying it for non-alc? Are they buying it for alc? Or are they buying it for those in-between moments too?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We estimate right now that it's about 30 to 35% for non-alc. We absolutely anticipate that number is going to grow. And that's just from talking to our customers, reading through every single review that people leave us. That's an estimate, but there's such a massive movement for, sober curious, kind of like no and low category right now, that I absolutely think that will kind of move closer to 50-50 at some point over the next probably 5 or 6 years. We're actually you mentioned Boisson before. We're in Boisson. I absolutely love that store. They have such awesome products.
That's where I got this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. So that's how I'm going. I was like, I need SAYSO for NA Dossier, and I'm still going to be on the road. So it was perfect. Thank you, Boisson Studio City, for having this.
Yeah, they're awesome. Actually, and Laura, that's our old packaging. So Haylee, you have the new packaging, which is in a pouch. We decided to move to that. Or that's the individual packaging, but if you hold up the pouch. So we decided to move to that packaging a few months ago, and for a few reasons. So it's a lot more sustainable. We don't use any unnecessary packaging. The box has individually wrapped tea bags. Whereas actually, Haylee, in your case, they're also individually wrapped, but only because it's the variety pack. We don't want any cross contamination of the flavors. But if you ordered a single flavor, it would be what the industry calls naked in the actual pouch. So there's no individual wrapping for the tea bags. And we were able to actually reduce the price quite a bit by doing that. So we were able to pass that on completely to the customer. And so very soon you'll actually not see the boxes anymore. We'll have completely transitioned to the pouch format.
I think that these are so, we talk about price too on NA Dossier, and I think this price point is so approachable. Eight old fashions for $16. Like you go out here in Denver and you're going to be spending like $17 for a good old fashioned. So it's so approachable too. I really appreciate that. Do you think that anyone watching has any questions? If you do, shoot. If not,
pop them in the chat. I do have, so while we're waiting for all of our thousands and thousands of questions and comments to come in, question for Charlotte, because it's rare that we get a formulator on the show. I'm so intrigued to learn a little bit more about that process, and what was sort of your favorite part about putting things together for SAYSO?
I think the favorite part of putting something together, like Chloe said, this was a more like a unique format. Obviously in the NA beverage space, which is where I do a lot of my work. Very rarely do I get to work with something that's solely dry goods. And then, as you mentioned, the trouble with creating something new or like truly innovating is finding manufacturers who will work with that, adjust their machinery or their line, or open to, kind of troubleshooting through that process, especially for a newer company who, you know, is not doing like Walmart volumes out the gate. So yeah, that was kind of like the positive and the downside of innovation is, you know, from a market perspective, you know, you're going to be super unique and that'll draw people in. And then the downside is mostly the manufacturing end of it.
It's a really good perspective. Haylee, you want to take this question from Juliana and pose it to Chloe, although we all can read it, but
For sure. So Juliana says, how did you decide on the branding? I have waffled so much on what my new beverage brand will look like, and I'm sick of changing my mind. LOL. I have a lot of answers to that because I'm a brand designer, but I'll let Chloe kind of chime in on perhaps hiring the brand agency she hired or like what her ideas were as far as branding goes.
Yeah, I can quickly talk to this and then pass it off to you, Haylee, because I'm sure you'll have a lot more helpful insight. But so I typically I guess like a very impatient person. So Juliana, I think probably like you is just like, okay, I want a brand like look and feel immediately. And so that's what we did pretty much right away was we tried to like create a free versions of it. We hired some, you know, inexpensive freelancers to do that for us. Nothing felt right. And so finally we went through with moving forward with a full agency, and they'll take you through like the full exercise of branding, which starts with creating a brand strategy and then brand identity. And that's like the process that we were talking a little bit about earlier, where we came up with a name, transported and adventure and spontaneous, and like all these things that we feel like we really relate to our brand. And from that point on, where we created this like brand pyramid of what we felt like our brand personality is how the design elements kind of like came in, and we, you know, felt right with that brand. So I guess that's how I would describe it. So I feel like even though I was really resistant to that process at first, like going through the work of creating a brand identity was really important to the visual part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So when you build up that strategy, the design becomes apparent to you and it's obvious. So you're thinking about, who is this for? What gap are we filling in the marketplace? How do we want to be perceived? All of those answers before you even get to design answer what the design will look like. And then of course, going through all those fun exercises. So I think it's getting clear on who else is on the shelf or online, your competitors, finding your position, and then digging into your story and how you tell that visually will be the design. So I think that's kind of great feedback. Here's a question for Charlotte as well. I don't know how to put it up, Laura. There we go.
So the question reads, for formulation in NA drinks, especially NA spirits, the use of preservatives, as pretty much every NA spirit has sodium benzoate and or potassium sorbate, so on the blacklist for grocery like Whole Foods and other natural organic grocers. Not sure if there are some natural preservatives, I guess that's the question. Are there natural preservatives?
Hi, yeah, so there's definitely natural preservatives. So things like potassium sorbate could be considered, you know, from certain natural like retailers. But there are also ways to go about not adding certain preservatives, like your manufacturing method could, you know, help, or, you know, your bottle type could also lead into longer shelf life, you know, certain like heat treatment elements. And then of course, it's also going to depend on what ingredients in your package. Another really cool thing about SAYSO is shelf life. There's no moisture, so you're not going to get any, you know, microbial growth. So the shelf life on SAYSO is going to be a lot longer than like your average, you know, liquid product. And as long as it's, you know, heat seal packaged in these nifty little pouches, then no moisture absorption from the sugars. So definitely thinking of innovative ways besides adding natural preservatives is think about what your ingredient depth looks like. Think about what your packaging looks like. Your manufacturing process are all ways to mitigate adding additional preservatives. If that answers the question.
Such a great perspective. Thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, well, it answered mine. I don't know if it answered our asker, but it certainly shed some light on things. What are we thinking, Haylee? I mean, we could probably go on and on, but
yeah,
when
I
could talk to you girls all day. We know this.
This was so informative, and we've been covering lots of different brands, and SAYSO really is truly unique, in the NA and non-NA space. So super excited to have you on, Chloe. This was awesome. And then Charlotte added a whole new dimension. I wish we could have the formulator on every single, chat we do. But I love it. This was great. Laura, do you have any other questions or comments?
I love SAYSO, and I love, again, that we can have a brand that really lends itself well to the fact that I'm booze-free, you're a mindful drinker. We can both enjoy this and not sacrifice on anything. And I mean, you can have it with or without booze and enjoy it equally, and I can have it with or without an NA spirit and enjoy it equally. So it has so many different applications. And I'm excited about the flavors I haven't tried, and then the forthcoming flavors, and just hoping that it gets a wider and wider following for everyone's sake. But it's grown so much in a year plus.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. We started direct to consumer on Amazon and our website, or rather our website than Amazon. And now we're expanding in groceries. So we are based in the New York area. So we have a number of retail partners in and around New York, and some in Southern California as well. But we're super excited. We're, in conversations with many more.
Awesome. Congrats on that. Charlotte, any last words as well?
Oh, no, just thanks for having me on, and would definitely love to do more of these talks with, from the formulation perspective, and also the other side of brand, because Haylee, you do a lot of the design stuff, and then I do the analytical spreadsheet stuff. But thanks for having me on. Thanks, Chloe, for also reminding me that the other SKUs are going to come out at some point, because from the formulation perspective, I was there a year ago. Sometimes I don't know when things are hitting shelves. So
that's exciting. Awesome. Must be fun to see each of your handiwork on the shelf, tasting it, seeing it, all of it.
Sometimes I don't even know what the brand's name is for another year. So I love seeing the final product of how everything comes out. I love the pouches and the branding. So
that's one last note. That's so interesting, because you're working on something and you have no idea what it's going to look like. So your vision of it is totally whatever's in your head versus what it actually ends up being through the agency or whatever. It's cool.
Thank you both so much for being on our show. We really, really enjoyed having you. Sorry for some of my tech issues. I'm live from Idaho right now.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. So much fun talking to you all.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll chat soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.